I know you've kind of worked some in like community and metrics, you've worked some in security. And so like I sort of think about the intersection of those places with sort of there was the recent incident in the XZ community of where they actually had someone go on a dedicated 1.5 year campaign to gain trust and then to abuse that. So where does kind of security and community intersect in terms of protecting a large vital piece of open source from that kind of attack?
That particular attack, that was a long con, right? That was an incredible dedication to try to do something that absolutely the impact of it would have been incredibly damaging to a lot of organizations, or had the potential to be incredibly damaging. How do you protect from that? And like 2020 vision on this one, it's really difficult, right? Like it's really difficult, especially in a world where your contributions know no boundaries, right? You don't want to look at an individual and say, oh, just because they're in this particular bit of geography, that I can't accept contributions from this individual. Looking at how the project is built, looking at how the longer history of how the project is organized, I think only somebody that had been paying attention through those years and had seen the potential for maintainer burnout, and recognized the signs of maintainer burnout, and understood the risk of a new individual that hadn't really been vetted maybe as well as they could have been, joining the core maintenance team, keeping an eye out for those sort of behaviors. It's hindsight, right? Like we could talk about this all day long, but this was sort of a new tack, a new approach.
The interesting thing that I think has always been tough for me to understand about this, and it's one of those things that's just a reality of the world that I wish it was different, is, we have these critical pieces of infrastructure like the XZ. If you take out the malicious actor, that was just a guy doing that as a side hustle for years. Mm-hmm. This code that, is run on enterprise systems around the world every day that powers the largest websites in the world was just, a guy's weekend project. And I think that sometimes is hard to reconcile when we have this big assumption that everything's moving correctly. But the closer you get to open source, the more you learn about community and the way things work. There's almost this weird inversion of some of these most important small pieces are also some of the ones that are the most neglected because they're hidden.
Absolutely. The further down the dependency chain you get, I saw some statistic, but I can't remember exactly what the number was, but it was alarming. The number of single maintainer projects that are very, very popular was more than 50% of like the critical projects as judged by, I want to say it was OpenSSF did some research into this, and it was a scary amount of projects are single maintainer projects. And how do you approach that? How do you help? How do you offer help to even 1,000 single maintainer projects that are critical, and do it in a way that actually benefits the community, that is not biased towards one organization or another? I mean, I know foundations have do a lot of work in this space, and not every community or every single maintainer wants to be involved in something like that, or can be involved in something like that. And also, they don't want to give up the project because it's theirs, and there's no requirement to. So it's a balancing act, right? There's again, the implicit and explicit ways to contribute. And then there's the ways that we wish we were able to contribute and support some of these single maintainer projects.